launch conductor in mission control. We pause at this moment in our countdown to remember and honor the lives of each of the participants on the Celestis Memorial Spaceflight. Their presence on this flight signifies a commitment to the opening of the space frontier shared by all of us. We wish the friends and families present today and all those who are with us in spirit all over the world Godspeed, good luck, and our thanks for allowing us to share this very personal time with you today. Elsie out. 5 vehicles armed. 3, 2, 1, fire. Missile away.
And good evening, everyone out there right now. My name is Mark B. Lee. I'm your Celestis ambassador, and this is an exciting night. Each and every month, we try to do it each and every month. We give you mission updates on all of our upcoming flights, things that you're really exciting, really anxious to know. We ask that you listen carefully to this broadcast because it's very, very important. And one of the most important things about this broadcast is you. If there are any questions you may have, okay, our Celestis team, myself, our CEO, we're all online and we will be answering all the questions that you may have. And even if you've forgotten to ask a question, there's always time to do that via our Celestis website, our Facebook page. You can always ask a question. This broadcast is going to focus mainly on our Aurora flight that's happening next week. And is very exciting for everyone. It's finally gotten to this point, and we, especially myself, are looking so much to seeing each and every one of you out in Las Cruces, New Mexico. If you've never been there before, if you're not sure what Las Cruces, New Mexico looks like, the opening video that I just showed you basically was taken at one of our flights at that test site out at Spaceport America. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to walk away with a lot of friends. Our staff is there to help you, to greet you. So don't hesitate now. We're going to bring our CEO up. If there's any questions you may have right now, start typing. Just start typing. And as we view it, we're going to go ahead and answer it. So make sure you have as many family members, anyone who is coming out to New Mexico or you are responsible for coming out to New Mexico is listening to this broadcast. It is very, very important. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our CEO, Charles Chafer, and along with our Director of Content, Emily Carney, we're going to all kind of try to field all the questions you may have. So say hello to Charles Chafer, our CEO. And of course, Emily Carney. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really looking forward to a rocket launch next week. So, yep.
Same here. How about you, Charles? How you doing?
Doing very well. Happily here in New Mexico and waiting for everybody to come and join us and for our 19th mission.
Yeah, well, let me ask
flight.
Yeah, our 19th flight. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, so we need to centralize our mission numbers, but you'll see somewhere called the 18th mission, and it is the 18th mission. It's the 18th mission we created. It's the 19th mission we fly because we actually moved the 20th mission into a slot ahead of the. So it's kind of like the space shuttle found itself when it was doing scheduling. Space flight, sometimes you go earlier with a mission than you were expected to do it. Anyway, that's a lot of explanation. We're about to do our 19th Memorial space flight. And of course, that's very exciting for all of us who provide it. And I know for those of you who are coming, and for those of you who can't join us in New Mexico, but are very much a part of the mission. We're here, we're ready, we know what we're doing, and we're looking forward to fulfilling your dreams for your loved one's dream of space flight, and turning what is a period of grief for all of you into a celebration of life, and in a very, very meaningful and experiential way. So I think tonight what we'll do is I'll start out and talk. First, I'll give you an update on all the other missions, because we always have folks who are in the queue for another mission going, what about me? What about my mission? So we'll try and address each upcoming mission briefly. And then we'll talk about the Aurora flight and the 3 days of activities that are coming up in 9 days. It's wild that it's coming up that quickly. So let's start with all other missions. Of course, after Aurora, the next scheduled set of missions will be our Enterprise Deep Space Voyager flight, and on the same rocket, our second visit to the moon, the Tranquility lunar flight. What we can tell you about that is that all systems are go. The final flight article engine built by Blue Origin was delivered to the rocket builder, ULA, United Launch Alliance, a few weeks back. And ULA is finished, I believe, integrating that final engine onto the Vulcan rocket. And within the next probably 2 weeks, maybe 3, Vulcan will leave the Decatur, Alabama plant where it's constructed and make its way to Cape Canaveral, Florida, where the final preparations for flight will take place. Vulcan is the first launch of this. This is the first launch of the Vulcan rocket. So all sorts of extra care and TLC and what have you goes into it. Currently predicting a no earlier than February 15th, 2023 launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Once we complete Aurora, we'll turn our full attention to providing a similar 3-day experience for all of our Tranquility and Enterprise families, and we'll start giving additional updates throughout the month of December and January as we get closer to the launch. Once we get that on the books, we're now looking at our Excelsior orbit flight as our next flight, and that was recently rescheduled by SpaceX from the exact same day that the Vulcan was scheduled, February 15th, to April, no earlier than April 1st, 2023, for our Excelsior orbital flight. So that's all of our, we have other launches after those, but what I wanted to do was update everyone on the launches that we have for each service. So I think I did that, and we can move on to the Aurora flight. So Aurora flies from Spaceport America, the world's first purpose-built commercial spaceport. And by that, I mean, it wasn't first a place to launch NASA or military payloads into space. This one, from the get-go, has been designed as a commercial spaceport. Those of you that follow such activities know that its primary purpose is sometime next year, maybe, to begin the process of civilian commercial spaceflight via the Virgin Galactic service. And that's what everybody thinks of at Spaceport America. But Spaceport America has been really active. We've flown from Spaceport America. This will be our 9th mission that we've flown from Spaceport America. So there's an active community of vertical launch as opposed to Virgin Galactic, which is horizontal launch, an active community of vertical launch activities going on there, led by our vendor, the people we choose to fly with, Up Aerospace out of Denver, Colorado. And they are a really especially praiseworthy organization. We love working with them. And the Aurora Flight itself is a 3-day activity. We headquarter at the Spring Hill Suites Marriott in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And those of you who are attending will be starting your registration on Monday, the 28th of November. And then on Tuesday, we have our memorial service, which is always a very meaningful time for our families that attend. And we have a very special guest speaker at our memorial service, shuttle astronaut, multi-time shuttle astronaut, Mike Mullane. And in a minute, I'll turn the virtual mic over to Emily and let her talk a little bit about Mike and his background. But we'll start out the morning of the 29th at the Las Cruces Convention Center with a memorial service that will be webcast live. And for those of you who want to know how to access the webcast, there'll be 2 associated with Aurora. We'll be sending out to anybody that's registered for information, we'll be sending out those links later this week. And we'll also be posting them on our website and on our social media, so that if you're not able to join us in New Mexico, then you'll be able to join us with a live stream of the memorial service and a broadcast the next day of the launch. And again, those details will be laid out for you in a coming email and on our various sites. But we've got you covered, and we've got a good team that'll be able to produce webcasts of this mission. So that's the morning of the 29th, the memorial service, followed in the afternoon by one of the best parts to me, other than the launch of the Aurora Flight, and that is an up close and personal tour of the launch pad, where you'll see the rocket on the rail, and you'll meet Jerry Larson, who's the president and founder of Up Aerospace, and he'll give you a personal tour of the vehicle and what you should expect to see the next day. And I will say we're very lucky. Nobody really gets this close with launch tours. You'll be literally a few feet away from the rocket. But it's really a very special moment, chance to say goodbye to your loved one one more time, or a bon voyage. And that will then end the day of the pre-day, pretty full set of activities. And then launch day, we'll be boarding our buses at dark 30, probably around, I think we're boarding at 5:45 a.m. and leaving to the launch site so that we get there about 7. Liftoff T0, as they call it, is right now scheduled for 8 a.m. So you have a little bit of time to experience the magic of a New Mexico sunrise morning is very, very cool. That's what I can tell you. And when you see the rocket, don't blink, because this baby, unlike SLS or Falcons or any other rockets that you may have seen, this launch takes off at T0 and it achieves Mach 6 in 2 seconds. And in the I guess in the community, that's known as screaming off the launch pad. It's a very impressive launch to space. Takes that much energy to get that 72 mile distance that is the generally accepted international definition of the threshold of space. So that's what we're going to do, and I never get tired of it. I see a couple of questions here. Will the launch tour be recorded? Absolutely, yes. So the entire event, we record the whole thing, and we create a professional video of it, which is made available to the family members for download and made available to the public for viewing on YouTube a little bit after the launch. So yes, all aspects of the mission are recorded and made available. Let's see, the next question. Oh, did the memorial service and tour change switch? The answer to that is yes. Good catch. We are at the mercy of the providers that we choose, and they've changed the order in which we do things there. So we're going to be coming in the afternoon, which is after they spend the morning in a dress rehearsal for the launch. So they aren't going to be hosting us during their dress rehearsal for the launch, but they will be happy to host us after that dress rehearsal is finished. So that's why we have changed the schedule, reversed the two services. Okay, let's see. Are we got more questions? I don't see any more questions right now. Mark, are we good, or why don't you hand it over to Emily? And Emily is our resident space hipster, influencer, and friend of the famous, and she helped us recruit and secure astronaut Mike Mullane, NASA astronaut Mike Mullane, to come and talk to us. So tell us a little bit about Mike, and a little bit about. I'm also really interested in your thoughts and feelings about the Aurora flight, because you've never been to one before here in New Mexico, and I know you've got a degree of interest in doing that.
Yes. Well, first I'll talk about Mike Mullane. First of all, for those of you out there who don't know who Mike Mullane is, he is a former space shuttle astronaut. He was selected to NASA in 1978 as part of their TFNG class, which was basically the space shuttle class. They recruited a lot of new astronauts, including for the first time women, African Americans, and Asian Americans into the Corps. So it was really the first class that represented the United States demographically. So he was recruited in 1978. He is a graduate of West Point, and shortly after he graduated, he joined the U.S. Air Force. He was not a pilot, but he was a flight engineer. So he was somebody who sat in the back seat, but he did have flight. He does have flight experience. He's not somebody who just, didn't know much about aerospace or anything like that. He is married to Donna, who is also amazing, and they have wonderful kids. The whole family is amazing. He does have a son, Patrick, and those of you who might know Patrick Mullane, Patrick also has a book called The Father, the Son, and the Holy Shuttle, which is about growing up as the child of somebody who was a NASA astronaut during the 80s. But back to Mike Mullane, in 1984, he made his first shuttle flight aboard Discovery. I think it was STS. I want to say it was STS 41D. I think it was that. That was when the shuttle went into a weird numbering system. But it was the first flight of Discovery. Yeah, the time where it was all weird. But yeah, it was the first flight of Discovery in 1984. And then in 1988, he flew on STS-27, which was the second flight after the return to flight post Challenger. And in 1990, he made his third and last space flight. I think it was STS-36. I could be wrong with the numbering, but he retired shortly after his last shuttle flight in 1990. In the mid 80s, he was supposed to fly on STS-62A. Let me explain what that is and why it did not fly. In the mid 80s, and Charles might have some insight on this because it was kind of a weird time in space history. NASA was going to try to fly Department of Defense polar orbit missions out of Vandenberg. And he was supposed to be, I think, on the first one going out of Vandenberg. And it had Crippen, it had a bunch of the military guys on it. And it was actually scheduled. And of course, that year Challenger happened. So there were no flights that year. And there has never been a polar orbit space flight with people on it. To my knowledge, I don't think there ever has been in the history of space flight. So who knows? Maybe we'll see that someday. But after his retirement, he wrote a book, which is excellent. And there will be copies at the Aurora Flight event. So if you would like to get a copy, they will be available for purchase. He has a book. I actually have it right by me. It's called Writing Rockets. And it's really his story about, becoming an astronaut during a time when, the first women were astronauts, and, sort of how somebody from his background, he went to a Catholic school with all boys, he went to West Point, which back then was all male. They didn't have women at military academies. So really he had to adapt to, working with different, populations when he came to NASA. And it's really, I love the book. It's really sort of a historical time capsule of what that time was like. And if you love the space shuttle, you have to read it. So Mike gives a lot of presentations. He's very funny. He's probably one of the funniest astronauts that I've ever dealt with or worked with. He's got a very positive, engaging, presentation. And I think everybody will love him who meets him next week. He's really just a super guy. I've worked with him in Space Hipsters, and I've met him a bunch of times. His family is also really awesome as well. So I think you all will have a treat by meeting him. Really just a super guy and a super astronaut. And you guys are going to really love it. So, all right.
That's cool. Very cool. And I want to get some, updates from you on everything. But before we do, did I click off? Am I here?
Yeah, you're still here, Charles. You're still on.
Okay,
you're good.
I'm not sure how I can get to my. There I am. Excuse me. I'm an old guy, so I want to get to a couple of the questions and then come back. So
what do you want to start with?
The first one is Corinna, and I think Corinna, if you haven't gotten anything, send us an email at cs1@celestis.com and we will take care of you. But she makes a second point, which is thank you very much, time. I don't know how the agenda came out the way it is, but we're definitely not going to load you at the Las Cruces Convention Center and drop you off back at the hotel and say, okay, you're on your own to get back to your cars. So no. I'm a little giddy here. But yes, Corinna, absolutely correct. We will not do what we say we are going to do in the agenda, and we will fix our agenda and republish it.
Yeah, we would not be stranding you in the New Mexico desert, Corinna, okay?
Right.
right.
Next question from Erica. Erica, I'm glad you found a way to get your question in because I got the email saying I can't type questions in. You found a way to do it. So, yes, cameras, binoculars, everything will be permitted at the launch site. A word or two about cameras and binoculars. Take all the camera pictures you want before the launch. Do not, under any circumstances, lose the beauty of what you're about to see by trying to capture it in a photo. We'll get good photos of the liftoff, I promise you that. But this thing is out of sight so quickly, you don't want to be trying to follow it with anything. Camera, binoculars. You're so close to the launch pad that you really, binoculars might help you see a little bit better, but they're not really something that I recommend you bring. But cameras, yeah, you can get the pre-launch photos and the post-launch photos. But as I say, don't try to follow the launch. Ingrid, how about cell phones? Yes, you may bring your cell phone with you. Two caveats. One is, unless you have Verizon as your service, again, recognize we're in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and the cell service is spotty at best. And if you don't have Verizon, it's almost not worth trying to use the cell phone. Secondly, if you do bring a cell phone, there'll be a time where, for two reasons: one, technical interference, and two, just reverence for what's going on, we're going to ask you to put them on mute and not use them. But again, everybody brings a cell phone. Let's see if they're okay. I'm trying to catch up. All right, I think these are all the questions I see. So, Emily, back to you. As you have we recruited you and brought you into the Celestis family because you represent so much of who our families are, their enthusiasm or their loved ones' enthusiasm of space. So it'd be great for you to talk a little bit about what is going to be your first experience at the home of rocketry. People forget about Robert Goddard launching his early rockets in New Mexico, about the German V2 rockets that were brought to White Sands after World War II and launched into the middle of New Mexico, and about all of the activity. New Mexico is a space state. So take it away, Emily, and talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm so oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm really so excited about going to New Mexico next week because for years, I've read about the origins of rocketry that's come from New Mexico. And a lot of people, when they think of space launches, what do they think about? They think of Cape Canaveral. I think to a lesser extent, they think of Vandenberg, maybe Wallops Island, maybe, but most people think, oh, the Saturn V. They think of like Apollo out of Florida or something like that. And Florida's awesome. I'm not trying to knock seeing, rockets at Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral or anything like that. But like you said, that a lot of the origins of rocketry is from New Mexico. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate that or realize that. If you read about Wismar, the White Sands Missile Range, for example. And another thing that I find exciting is a lot of Celestis' heritage with SSI, Space Services Inc. I wanted to mention that because that's a big part for me that excited me about joining the Celestis family was Space Services Inc. Because that we have a heritage that spans way back to SSI in the 80s. Really the godfathers of commercial rocketry. I mean, you guys were doing back then. I say you guys because Charles was right there. He was one of them, but the godfathers of commercial rocketry. I mean, you guys were doing stuff that Elon and Jeff talk about now, but you guys were doing it 40 years ago. That's freaking awesome. And that's not a small thing, in my opinion. That's very historic. And we should always sort of keep an eye on that. And I'm very proud that our company's heritage goes back to that. And but I want to say SSI did several launches at Wismar during the 80s, maybe the early 90s. I did find a video of Deke at one of them. I found a video of Deke at one of them speaking, and as soon as he walked up, everyone's like, "Woo, Deke!" So it was really cool. But yeah, there's New Mexico has a massive heritage in spaceflight, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of it, because whenever we think of spaceflight, we think of Florida, the rockets center there, and and I think New Mexico is just as rich, if not richer. Not to take anything from Florida, but just because you got Goddard, you had the V2s, these were when people were really trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? And for me, it's going to be so exciting. And I hope the families and the guests that are coming get the same excitement, enthusiasm that I'm having right now thinking about this, because to be in that area with that incredible heritage, it's like it really is like you're standing sort of in the shadows of or standing in the among giants almost. I love that. And I think, and I'm hoping our families kind of get that same feeling that, wow, a lot of history happened here. Now my loved one is going to be a part of that forever, and I'm going to be a part of that, and to me, that's something, like I said, when I joined Celestis, for me, that was very important to be with an aerospace company that had a heritage, that had a really impressive, heritage rooted in, his, firsts. And SSI and Celestis is a company of firsts. And I hope our guests really get a sense of that when they go see New Mexico. And also, I'm sort of getting off topic here. I've never seen a launch from New Mexico. I've been told about them. I've watched films of them. Never seen it with my own eyeballs. The idea of getting up at dark 30 and seeing the sunrise, and then seeing a rocket launch shortly after sunrise, and you're right up on the rocket launch. Like, from Cape Canaveral, it's cool to see a rocket launch from Cape Canaveral, but you're going to be at least a few miles out. They're not going to let you right near it, because, that's dangerous and stuff. But, these are smaller. The Up Aerospace SpaceLoft rocket is smaller, It still has a lot of punch to it. It's going to go real quick off the pad, so don't worry about that. You're going to get a heck of a fun show, but still, we're going to see it sort of intimately up close, versus going to see like SLS or going to see something else, at Cape Canaveral. So we're really going to get sort of a special, intimate encounter with a real life rocket launch, which to me is just going to be awesome. I can't wait. Like I said, I've never been to New Mexico. The only thing I have to say is to our guests who are watching this tonight, and Charles turned me onto this video. If you can go to YouTube, and it's not one of our videos, but it's from GoPro, and it's of one of the Up Aerospace SpaceLoft launches, and it follows the rocket to space and back. Basically, it follows the payload as it parachutes back down. Try to watch that. It is mind-blowing. I think I've watched it like 30 times. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I love this stuff, but seriously, I think other people will love it too, watching it. It is freaking, I mean, I'll just be real, it's freaking incredible. I mean, yeah, go watch it. That's what we're going to see next week. Not maybe as up close, but that is what you're going to see next week. And it is just amazing. So
and
I'll shut up.
Find it.
I'm way excited.
You can find it, just Google GoPro rocket launch, and it'll take you right to it. And we were on that flight, actually. And I believe it got like 8 million views. It was it was an unbelievably popular video, and it is that cool. There's some weather discussion here. Bring more than a light jacket.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something when you're done.
Yeah, get right with you. The recommendation was it's 50s to 60s. Yeah, that's during the day in the New Mexico sun. when you are in the middle of the night and in the New Mexico desert, it will be 30s. So bring more than a light jacket. Now, it'll seem too heavy when the sun comes up because it'll warm right up to the 50s and 60s, which will be very nice. It's one of the reasons why they picked that area for launching is the weather's almost always good. But do expect to be chilly the morning of. Now, the good news is that if you're coming as one of our guests, you get a free breakfast taco and cup of coffee to warm you up at the launch site. So just a word about, I just want to make sure that I recommend more than a light jacket. You might want to do layers. That's what I do. I take a hoodie and I have a sweater on underneath and I just peel them off as I need to, but I'm so happy I have them when I'm there. Mark, you're on.
All right. So this will be my third launch from this location out in New Mexico. And I had a question for you, Charles, but you had already answered it. And that was if our food trucks are going to be there. And that was answered. So that's a good thing. In reference to the temperatures, I've never attended a launch there during this time. And I'm a Floridian, just like Emily. And we can't stand anything under basically 70 degrees. So dressing in layers is literally the key because then you can peel those layers off as the New Mexico sun comes up. But it is a lot cooler than what we've had in the past. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the reaction that the rocket will actually have on the air at that time, much like our one of our Canaveral launches that we witnessed, which was extraordinary. So but it is a beautiful location. And when we end this broadcast, we're going to run this clip again, our intro. And our intro literally is from that site. So if you take a look at that intro, you'll see exactly where you are. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, with one exception.
Okay.
The rocket that is taking off in that video is a Falcon 9. So
yes, of course.
All of the discussion and all of the video is from New Mexico, but the vehicle you see is a mission we were on a Falcon 9. So
that's correct.
Those
that rocket launch was from
Aerospace rocket looks like.
Yeah, that was a launch from. I'm assuming that was from one of our Cape launches, right? That
yes,
shot that's in there.
Exactly.
All of the incidental shots you'll see. Just notice the mountains in the background, and you'll know, okay, that's the New Mexico location. But it's truly all inspiring. All the ones that I've attended out there at that location is incredible. The facility itself is so futuristic. That was incredible to stop there. I don't know if we're going to stop there this time, Charles. We are.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. Yeah, on the way back after the tour is completed, we'll go over and people will get to eyeball the Virgin terminal building.
Yeah, it's very awe-inspiring. It's a fantastic. I'm an architect by heart. I'm actually legally an architect, but it's one of the grandest facilities that I've seen constructed. So we're going to enjoy that. I see Karina has come in, but I thought I saw another one up here for you, Charlie.
Okay, here's Deanna wants to know, where can we eat? Always.
That's a great question.
I believe, I'm not sure. I don't think the Spring Hill Suites has a restaurant in the hotel. But we're right in Las Cruces, and there's every restaurant that you could imagine. And there's an area of Las Cruces that I highly recommend that you go to called the Mesilla, which is the original square around which early Las Cruces was built. There's a great Mexican restaurant on the square there in the Mesilla. There's a great steakhouse on the square in the Mesilla. That's much more authentic. In fact, I believe one of them is a place where Billy the Kid hung out. I believe there's that. But you can also hit any number of franchise places, or there's plenty of hotels. There's plenty of restaurants and opportunities. Now, let me mention, by the way, I probably glossed over this, that right after the morning memorial service, we don't just leave to the tour. We have a reception, and we got a lot of food there. So come hungry, and you'll be fed before you go on the tour by us. And then when you come back afterwards, dinner that night will be on your own. Breakfast the next morning is on us. You just have to wait till you get to the launch site, and Mark will be the one with the breakfast tacos to hand out to you. He doesn't know that.
All
doesn't
of them?
know that.
Sure,
Doesn't know
anything
that
for
yet.
anything for our
And
families.
then you'll be back in Las Cruces normally before noon, and you're on your own at that point. So we're going to feed you twice, and we're going to point you to good places to go for your other meals.
Okay. Charles, if you can follow me up on this, there are bus assignments. I'm sure all of that information will be given to you on site. So make
it's
sure
important
that
to show up for registration. You cannot go to this launch unless you've checked in with us, got all that information you were just mentioning, Mark, and are loaded on our bus. No private car. If you miss the bus, you're not going to be able to drive out and see anything. We are your ticket, and we will take care of you. But you need to best to come to the late Monday registration if you can. If you can't, we'll register you first thing Tuesday morning.
Yeah, good point.
So let's see. Question about the launch being pushed. Nah. Here's the deal with the kind of rocket we're flying. It's really a simple vehicle. So at this point, it's somebody's going to push a button on launch day. I'm pretty sure of that. And so unlike large liquid fuel rockets with $100 million satellites sitting on top of them, where all kinds of things can go wrong. And sometimes you even have to take the rocket back into the hangar. Here, the hangar's right next to the launch pad, and they just roll it out and fly it. So it's a simple system that we have high confidence in. Now, having said that, out of our 9 flights, or 8 flights so far, coming up on our 9th, we did have one day delay, and that was due to lightning hitting around the launch pad, which is never a good thing. And so we had to delay a day during one of our launches many years ago. But we just don't anticipate a lot of issues that are associated with that. And Corina, I hope I answered. So there's registration both Monday and Tuesday morning, to answer your question.
Right. Here's a good answer from Celestis, guys. No private cars. You have to be on the bus. So that was simple enough. Okay. Melody, can't wait to see you either, Melody.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you with us.
Karina had asked.
I'm guessing you will be one of about 150 guests that we'll have for this launch. That's kind of the number that we're hovering at right now.
Okay.
So one of the cool things that happens at our launches is everybody arrives, nobody knows anybody, right? And you're from all over the world. And over the course of the events, the memorial service, the tour, the astronaut, the reception, the launch, whole lots of folks get to know each other because they're sharing such an amazing experience. That don't be too surprised if you leave with a bunch of new friends that you are going to stay in touch with because you've shared your loved one's service with them.
Charles, do you know who our farthest attendee is on this flight?
Sorry?
Do you know who our farthest attendee is on our flight in terms of passenger?
We've got folks, probably our Australian clients.
Australia.
We've got Japan, Australia, Europe. But I think Australia is probably the furthest one for this one.
All right.
I just wanted, if you don't mind, I wanted to just cut in a little bit, and can I talk a little bit about one of our special guests on this flight?
That
Sure.
sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, on the Aurora flight, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about this because he was a friend of mine during his life. But probably one of our special guests aboard Aurora is Dr. Philip Chapman. Dr. Chapman was a former NASA astronaut. He was, in fact, the first Australian American NASA astronaut. He was born in Melbourne. So, but he immigrated here in the 60s, went to MIT. In 1967, he was selected to NASA, and he was really awesome. I was really fortunate. I got to interview him the last year he was alive, a few months before he passed, and he was very funny. It was really cool to talk to somebody about that era in NASA history, to sort of get a bigger picture of what was it like before the shuttle flew. What was the atmosphere like and everything like that. And he did pass away. He was age 86 in April 2021. But he is making his first space flight aboard the Aurora flight. And he will also fly on Enterprise early next year. He did not fly into space with NASA. He did resign his NASA post in 1972, mainly because he was hoping to fly on Skylab B, which was supposed to be the second Skylab, but that got canceled, as did a lot of things in the 70s. A lot of things in the 70s got canceled because of the space shuttle, but we won't get too into that. So he did resign his post, but he still had a pretty amazing career, even though he didn't go to space during his lifetime. But now he is going to space because of Celestis and the Aurora flight, and he will also be on the Enterprise flight next year. And I know Maria, I don't know if she's watching right now. I'm very excited to meet her, and I'm very excited for her. This is going to be really an incredible moment, I think, to see. I'm going to be very happy. I know that much. It's going to be incredible to see him finally go to space. So I just wanted to insert that in there.
Yeah,
Great.
Very cool. We were so honored that Dr. Chapman's family found us and put him on board. We have quite a history of astronaut interaction. Celestis itself was really founded by my former boss, Deke Slayton, who was one of the original Mercury astronauts, flew on Apollo-Soyuz, but Celestis was, we tried to get this thing off the ground in the 1980s. And when I say we, I say Deke. So Deke loved it. We've also flown additional astronauts. We flew Gordo Cooper twice. Again, a Mercury Right Stuff astronaut, if you'll remember the line from the movie, Who's the Best Pilot You've Ever Seen? He was that. We had the honor of flying William Pogue, Skylab astronaut, on our flight. We've also flown family members from other astronauts, and we always try to bring an astronaut to our memorial services to sort of give people the sense of what's it like? What's your loved one going to be experiencing? So I got a couple more questions I'd like to dig through here. One is, what time is Tuesday's live memorial? It should be on our agenda, which is on our Aurora Flight section of our website. But I will tell you that we're planning on beginning that service at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. So that would be 8:30 Pacific and 11:30 a.m. excuse me, Eastern. Another question, Erica has 2 tickets, but sees green checked for the events under 1. If you have 2 tickets, you're good for all of the events. About that. And let's see if there are any. I don't have any other ones.
Nope. I think that's it. So far, unless one sneaks in while we're signing off, but
yeah.
I think we're
well,
good,
folks. Yeah, well, this has been a special Aurora Flight edition of our online live monthly events. We couldn't do it without you, and we're doing it for you. And it's just so fulfilling for our team. I know I speak for Mark and Emily, but also all the folks behind the scenes. Many of you know our superstar Christiana and others. We're so pleased to be really the only folks on the planet that can do this routinely and to provide this service that you all tell us is very, very, very meaningful. So we're looking forward to that. Is there any reason the launch won't happen? Just came in. Really, at this point, about the only barrier would be weather issues. Sometimes there's a potential that some technical glitch can do something, but UP has been doing this since 2008, and they're pretty good at it. So we have high confidence in the mission and pretty high confidence in the weather. I mean, again, they chose this site because the weather is good. All right. Well, we're looking forward. Thank you, Erica. We're looking forward to meeting you and everybody else that's coming. And remember, Tuesday morning, 9:30 a.m. Mountain for our live cast of the memorial service. Wednesday at noon Mountain for the broadcast of the launch. And that's all I got, Mark and Emily. Anybody else got a last word?
Good.
I would say to everyone that don't make this broadcast the final info. We still have our website and our Facebook pages up until time for you to hit on your flight or hit the road to get to us. Always update, search, find. There'll be things for you to read over and over again so that you'll know it by heart when you get here. This is going to be an incredible experience for everybody. We finally get to meet you guys in person, touchy-feely, so we are all here for you up until we are done and have succeeded our mission with placing your loved ones in orbit and back. So anything else, Charles?
I think we're good. So
yeah, I think so too.
Sunday is travel day for all Celestians, so I'll tell my team to travel safely. I'm looking forward to welcoming you here to my new state of New Mexico, and I'm looking forward, as I always do, to the opportunity to meet the folks that really make this happen.
Guys, on behalf of Celestis and everyone here, thank you so much for joining us. You can take a look at our intro and now our outro video, and we will see you all next week. Big week, big couple days coming up. Goodbye. Sleep tight.
This is the launch conductor in mission control. We pause at this moment in our countdown to remember and honor the lives of each of the participants on the Celestis Memorial Spaceflight. Their presence on this flight signifies a commitment to the opening of the space frontier shared by all of us. We wish the friends and families present today and all those who are with us in spirit all over the world Godspeed, good luck, and our thanks for allowing us to share this very personal time with you today. Elsie out. 5 vehicles armed. 3, 2, 1, fire.